Hi, Hetty.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So this not at all awkward video is going to be about an idea that I think I had a little while ago, and then we'd be working together on some marketing for Lattimore and Friends, which I'll come on to in a bit. And we kept chatting, and we thought we'd explore it a bit further, and we'd see if we could work with your brand on it as the first is the guinea pig, shall we say, for the idea. So the idea is. Well, the idea comes from the fact that at Lattimore and Friends, we are a web development agency that works almost exclusively with other creative agencies, branding agencies, designer freelancers. And along the way, we've worked with quite a few amazing e-commerce projects. And during that process, we realised there was definitely an opportunity. We'd received clients that had worked with other big e-commerce agencies in London and elsewhere, and none had sort of said, you know what, we have, they're perfect. They are the best to work with, the easiest to work with, the most pleasant to work with and grow with. So I thought, well, the web is always this great unknown. Everyone feels like they feel comfortable with design, they sort of feel comfortable with marketing, but as soon as it gets to web development, and especially e-commerce, when you have concerns over security, you have concerns over taking money, refunding money, loads of it is somewhat more challenging than just throwing up a website and saying, "Da-da, that's here's my portfolio to the world."
Yeah.
So the big idea is that we would work together and show warts and all how a e-commerce brand, a D2C brand, can get a brand new website that's conceived, designed, developed, gone live, and even potentially even maintained and supported going forwards. Throughout the process, we'll talk about challenges, costs, design issues, design opportunities, problems with some plugins and add-ons and all manner of other things that were happening to go along. But the idea, if it works, and if it does work, we'll do more of these, is to try to make it less scary, make it more transparent. People can see where costs are, where is it expensive, and where actually should you be trying to save money, and where should you be investing more, and where shouldn't you, and to basically just feel more comfortable having discussions with their developers, and if they want to talk to us and potentially work with us afterwards, even better.
I think it's quite interesting because when you started talking to me about it, I kind of felt like, when you can feel when you're starting to want to move on from like a Squarespace or whatever, but you're not really sure how to take that next step. So I thought that it was like quite exciting to be able to say, like, this is how you do it. You can watch these like 5 or so videos and suddenly understand. So yeah, it's super exciting, and thank you.
That's a very good point, actually. That words it much better than I did. But it's true. It's that point where we're not one of those web development companies that sneers at Wix or sneers at Squarespace. I think they're amazing. I think they provide a great resource. Squarespace, especially. If I tomorrow was starting up a D2C fashion brand or a D2C beauty brand or mugs, I would really, why wouldn't you consider it? You'd invest a bit of money into your unique brand, bully a designer friend to do something for you, and then find the Squarespace theme that works well with that theme and work with your brand, and that's a great place to start. You can spend a good 1-2 years, 2-3 years there. That's a valid place to be, and you might not ever go beyond that. You might be, that's great, but I think, it's interesting what you said. There's a point where it should feel like you're being restricted. I've always found that's the point where here's like the first bit of advice. What point should you look to invest in your own bespoke website? Your bespoke Shopify or WooCommerce or other e-commerce platform website. And I always find it's when you're feeling the pain, where like you've taken your brand to the next level and you just can't get Squarespace to play with that. You can't find a theme that works, and trying to code additions is just nightmare. So you feel restricted by your brand, or you need some functionality. That's the joy of both Shopify and WooCommerce, the functionality options for managing subscription services. It's huge. There's so many things you can do which Squarespace might limit you. Either it can't do it, or it does it in a way that you don't love. So that's the point. I feel like unless you're feeling that pain, where you're like, I feel like Squarespace is holding me back as a brand, as a D2C e-commerce brand. That's, don't stay where you are. Wait until you're feeling it. But as soon as you are feeling like we now can't move forward, or we can't go beyond a certain ceiling because of the limitations of the platform, I think that's pretty advice for websites in general, isn't it? When you feel like you've reached the limit of the platform, if you're on Wix for your just showing off your art, and you never have a problem with it, why change? Why spend?
It was kind of like so I moved from Squarespace to Shopify about 3 or 4 months ago, and I was on Squarespace for like a year and a half, and it was great. I think having run websites in the past, I kind of always knew that there was going to be a point relatively soon when I was ready to move on, but I think it's like
no. Why did you choose Squarespace in the first instance?
Why did I choose Squarespace?
Yeah, but there's other easy e-commerce options out there.
I think I was obsessed with left-hand navigation, and I don't know why, because I've moved on really quickly. But I was like, I really, really want a theme that gives me a left nav, and Squarespace just had one, so I was like, oh, fine. It was and like I always knew that Shopify was going to require a bit more investment than I had money to give it at the very beginning. So I was like, well, even though on like a month by month basis, Squarespace is actually like a little bit more expensive than Shopify, once you start adding in the theme and the plugins, and then needing extra help to fix things and stuff, it's like it looks really nice. It's really easy to use when you're trying to do everything else.
It's not crazy slow either.
No.
It's fairly fast as a slight load speed thing.
But then I started I started wanting to use different plugins and stuff. Like I think they might have it now, but at the time they didn't have like the raw mail plugin, for example, and which is really important, because like typing out addresses every time is like really time. And then their support, if you want to do any kind of custom functionality, like they're really honest and upfront about the fact that they don't offer support if you're using custom code. So that's fine. But I was starting, it's more like the code injection rather than like, anyway, you're the developer.
We don't support Squarespace at all. It's they used to be very friendly. I remember years ago when I was a freelancer, did a bit of work for really cool little organization, and it was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine to do so. But then a couple of years ago, I tried to do a little bit of work for someone, the pro bono stuff, and it was just like pulling teeth.
Yeah, and they're lovely. Like the customer service, they're really nice about it. But like, and they have a customer, they stick to that customer. If I imagine at some point, then they'll start to branch out into people who are wanting to do more custom stuff. But yeah, they have like a very fixed target market, which is fine. I'm really happy to say now that people want loads of jumpsuits, so I can afford to like branch out a little bit more. So yeah,
well, that's probably a fantastic segue to talk about Leim.
Yeah,
I can never pronounce it properly.
Leim. No, so actually it's really unfair, because I get so many pronunciations, and for a long time I was like, maybe I should rename it, and I imagine, I don't know, maybe at some point I will, but so I make toilet friendly jumpsuits, so you don't need to take them off when you go to the loo, which if you're a person that wears a lot of jumpsuits like I am, is a nightmare. So I make them. You can see my machines at the back there.
It's not a fake background.
No, no, they're real. Yeah. And yeah, started working on them about 2 or 3 years ago now. Launched last year, and yeah, it's going really well. I sold my 100th jumpsuit on Tuesday.
Exciting.
Thank you. And we've known each other for like maybe 4 years.
Too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be about 20. I think it was late 2015, 16.
Yeah, 16 it must have been.
Right.
So I used to work for a tech company, and then you came and built 2 websites for us.
Codo for hire.
Yeah.
It was a bespoke WordPress build, I think it was.
Yeah. So
because you were starting it back then, if I remember right. You
I was literally starting. Like I'd had the idea like a couple of years previously, but hadn't really done anything with it. Like too busy living in London, and then just decided to do something with it. And actually, I feel like, were you there when I got one of the first samples back?
No. I think so.
No.
I remember. We was out of contact for a bit, and then you got and that's really might be interesting to talk about. Like, what was the point where you jumped into it? Like, so, sort of you had the early samples back, and I think was it a startup loan?
Yeah, so I got a startup loan in October 2018, a Virgin startup loan. And previously to that, I'd had a Kickstarter failed, but it's fine.
Everyone gets one of them.
Yeah. I don't care anymore. I don't care.
I can see fine now. I don't know when I go Kickstarter.
Yeah. Although I am considering doing another one, so it's like, oof.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really cool idea.
Now I have like a bit more of a market. Anyway, then started like trying to find a factory in the UK. I wanted everything to be manufactured in the UK, and then fast forward to like March of last year, I was made redundant. I'd already gone part-time. Sorry, this is really slightly rambly. I'd already gone part-time in January, which was really exciting, and suddenly was just like, cool, I can make this happen. Then got made redundant, so was full-time. And so then
on Leim.
Yeah, on Leim, yeah. So then started making the jumpsuits myself so that I could like keep up with stock, because my plan was never to make them myself. And so that has now been, about a year to the day almost.
Really?
Of being, of making jumpsuits.
And how was obviously last year? How was COVID with the development of Leim? Was it? Yeah, because I suppose you probably wouldn't have been made redundant if there hadn't been a pandemic going around the place. So was it an opportunity?
Yeah. Oh my God! Like, it was a baptism of fire. Like, I think it was the most stressful year of my life. But like financially, so it's like on two sides. It's like financially, it was really stressful because it's like, okay, how am I gonna afford to live? But also at the same,
hadn't you bought a house by this?
Yeah, so we literally just bought a flat, and it was a shell. It didn't even have central heating when we moved in, and so like, thinking, oh, it's fine, I can like do a business and also renovate a house. It's like I bit off way more than I could chew, but I think we do these things.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I think if the pandemic hadn't happened, I definitely wouldn't have, ran the business in the way that I did. I probably wouldn't have ended up making them. And so actually, my appreciation of garment manufacturers having to do like bulk orders, and it's just taught me so much respect for like the garment maker industry as a whole. But also like I think it's helped me to like slow down and actually like really focus on what I want to do, rather than being like, for example, chasing wholesale was something that I thought was really important. And then this year, last year, has just taught me that it's not it doesn't have to be a priority, just because that's where most luxury brands like mine, that's the direction that they take. So now I'm purely D2C and staying that way for the time being.
No, and I think that's that's really exciting. I think that kind of comes back to where this idea comes from, because I think my sense, I think you probably sensed it as well, is that people had a similar experience last year, where they were furloughed, they were part time, they've started businesses that have and D2C brands and other businesses that have started to really pick up and grow, and maybe sort of in a similar way hitting that jumping off point where like you either you sort of live bouncing along and it's a nice little side hustle, and that's amazing. There's no judgment there, but like for some brands there's gonna be a chance for if you to put the foot down, to go even harder, go even faster. Really exciting. I must say, unfortunately, I've never tried on one of the jumpsuits.
You look beautiful.
I was telling my girlfriend about it, and she's like, "That's a great idea." Every woman I speak to, never mention the concept, is like, "That's a cracking idea." Why is that not a thing available everywhere now?
And then boys are like,
I think it's definitely is a male privilege thing, isn't it? The kind of just like it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
How is that even an issue? The first time my girlfriend told me about, you had to take the whole thing off to use the toilet. I'm like, that's such an alien concept. It boggled my mind, and it's like, knowing that, what a cool idea.
But it's also like, I just wasn't willing to like just accept that this was my, do you know what I mean? Like what I had to do to be able to enjoy wearing a piece of clothing. It was like, no, I can fix this. I can work it out. And, there's some way, because I designed them all myself. It's not like I just like get given a pattern and then make them. And I think that's the side of like being an entrepreneur that I really enjoy. It's like that innovation, and I feel like you're exactly the same, in the sense where it's like, oh, what's new? Like, what can I do that like is helping to solve a problem that somebody has? And I think that's why we get on so well.
No, definitely. No, I think so it's easier now to start things, isn't it? Like so I think that's awesome, and I think really quite exciting. I've noticed, the amount I spent on Amazon last year was frankly horrendous, and that's good and bad in equal ways. So I've noticed that even because of that, I've spent a lot more at other brands. Found an amazing butchers that sent stuff from Leim, and got some kimchi, because apparently I'm the sort of man who buys kimchi online.
I love it.
It was good stuff, I have to say. It says a lot about me. I signed up to packed coffee during the lockdown last year, because where I live, there are no coffee shops worth going to. So I sound such a wanky answer.
No, don't worry. I've done exactly the same. Although, never mind, we won't plug, but I'll give you a little tip on the side.
It's fun to stay in. We'll bleep out the arsehole part.
Yeah.
So I feel like we worked with quite a few restaurants last year who really struggled, and it really did come down to a bit of gumph and a bit of passion, a bit of energy from the founders to kind of do something that was that could be delivered from home. We know little silly things, like we noticed actually the area we live in, which is near Edgware. It's when lockdown started, we kind of just had Papa John's. I'm a big fan. Papa John's versus Domino's. I'm just going to say it. Domino's is better.
Absolutely. Domino's is dreadful.
It's pretty dreadful. It's just cardboard.
Yeah.
There'll be a whole thing in the comments about this. Eventually, 5 years on, I'm the CEO of Domino's somehow. Someone will dig this out.
Yeah. Imagine if they came to you to build a website.
That'd be great. This will be the proof. Like, people hate it, and I'm leading the resistance against
Yeah. You should message Papa John.
Papa John's was the best thing in the area, and then we noticed it was crazy. In the last year, literally at the back of our house, Côte Brasserie, the French restaurant chain, moved into this warehouse space, and they've turned it into a delivery centre for cook-at-home French food.
Amazing.
Haven't tried it yet. We should really sneak in and try and nick some stuff. I mean,
yeah. Seems better.
Can't do advocate stealing. But on a more serious point, so they've moved in, and Deliveroo, the amount of new kitchens that have started, a really Lost Boys, I think they're called, and they're actually quite big in Brighton.
Lost
They've
Boys.
set up a shop up there during lockdown,
Nice.
up in North London, and just amazing stuff. So yeah, I think there is the challenge, hugely challenging, and what it is sad to think of how many pubs won't come back, how many how many people that were like 5 years from retiring and they would have enjoyed the last 5 years of their small shop in town blah that aren't going to have those 5 years. But as with all these things, anytime there's massive change, there's opportunity, and there's been some brands that can do it, and that sort of comes back to where hopefully this can be valuable, and it's more than just like a sales pitch of like, this is the services we offer. Look, we do design. Look, we do development. Look, we get it live. If it's like that, that's a waste of time, and I hope it doesn't develop that way.
No.
Hopefully, this will be for brands, D2C brands, even established brands that are maybe looking at an e-commerce offering for the first time. A lot of development agencies will gouge your eyeballs out. I mean, there's been there's a movement in e-commerce development, which I've seen, and I understand intellectually. It's about the website is about value. It's not about billing for the time, billing for the hours spent on the site. It's like, because it's an e-commerce store, it has a higher value than, say, an artist portfolio or a tech company's website with some case studies. And it's like, I get that intellectually, and maybe if you're M&S and and you're working, I think their last website build a couple of years ago was like £50 million they spent on it, something crazy. I mean, that's just the lunches, isn't it? Really, if you think about it, that's so senior people can have lunches and loosely discuss a website. But that, I think, sort of, it didn't cost £50 million to make that website. I don't know how you would have to do so, but they're buying a value. But for a kind of D2C brand breaking out of the Squarespace, out of Wix, out of these starter solutions, it's about value, but actually there is just things just cost us that amount of money, and you can save money where you don't need to spend it, and you can invest where it's really going to add value. One thing we'll probably get into in due course is that for Leim, you probably won't need a subscription model. But if anyone out there has got a small coffee brand they're looking to add a subscription service to and not sure where to start, that's something I'd love to work on next. So if there's any businesses out there that would love to explore that, once we've got Leim up and amazing and looking exciting, we'd love to do one of these again with you.
DM us.
That brings a whole different kind of challenges and investment to be made in both the website and then how that impacts your fulfillment and X, Y, and Z, and user experience. How do people manage their accounts? How do people manage? Can they easily upgrade or downgrade or cancel or pause? So hopefully, if we go through this process and people watch it and enjoy it, they'll come away feeling like this isn't about trying to at the end of it we have to go work with Ben and his team. It's more like I feel more confident talking to my team. I've been working with this web guy for years, and actually I feel like I'm now, as a DTC brand owner, more comfortable having those discussions and saying, well, actually, how do we handle GDPR? How do we handle, I've been thinking at the moment, how do you handle EU sales? How do you make sure you show certain content to EU customers to say, oh my God, because of Brexit, we've got these challenges, at least for the time being. Hopefully, if we do it right, it won't be a sales pitch, it will be genuine information. So I think the plan is, next week, from whenever this is released, we'll do a full discovery session.
Yeah.
Which would be, I'll it might just be me. I might try and get a designer on board. We'll see how it goes. But the idea with that is to, in a way we do with every client, is just try to understand where you are. So what is the website situation as it is? What do you love? What do you hate? What have you tried and maybe not succeeded at? What have you tried and is now part of the brand and part of the experience? Designs you like. There will be a new website redesign here.
Do you need me to prepare anything for next week specifically?
Say again, sorry.
Do you need me to prepare anything for next week?
I will be sending you a document.
Perfect.
With which will be available online as PDF as well.
Awesome.
Which you can then, the idea is that should engender some questions and some ideas, before we speak. It's basically homework, and then we can mark your homework together. And,
yes, my dream.
A star sticker.
She's perfect at all her own ideas.
But that's very much the value of this is. You have to go and done that homework initially, and that's one of the reasons why we make sure the PDF is available, so anyone else can just grab it, and because it might just help your own thinking if you're even just starting a brand. It's helpful to kind of know where do you see yourself? Are you as a fashion brand? Are you Dior, or are you more relaxed and cheerful? And all the other combinations in between. So that's that. And then the next phase it's fairly simple, but there's lots to unpack during each day. So after discovery, we'll then do the design phase kicks off, and that'll be 2 or 3 concepts that will be brought forward. My understanding is you're very happy with the Leim brand, the colours, fonts, and the logo.
I'm happy to, I definitely want to keep the logo and kind of like the general brand, but I'm pretty flexible in terms of adding new colors or whatever, or simplifying, obviously not the actual logo colors, but associated colors, stuff like that.
Perfect. Okay. I quite like your brand as it is. I have a feeling
I love my logo so much.
Yeah, it's a great logo. I love the woodcut version behind it. So I mean, I don't think it will be a case of rebrand thing, or even necessarily changing it too much, but we might do one version that's a bit more out there, and just to see, sometimes the crazy one is the one that actually gets the concept better. Because it rethinks it, reinvents it, and hopefully if we do it right, that design phase would be very open and transparent, and people will be able to see the different concepts. We'll try to do lots of take lots of photos and small videos and vignettes, so people can sort of feel like they're part of the process. If there's anyone watching this, they might, maybe we'll do a voting thing.
Oh my god, I'd love that. Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I mean, Hetty's no, sorry. I mean, thanks for voting.
I know which one I want, so you can have a vote if you want to. No, I'm joking.
Thanks for interacting.
Yeah. Experiential.
We'll just change the numbers.
Yeah.
Just add 50%.
Yeah.
The people love it. I mean, we'd never do that. That would be morally and
really naughty, wrong. Really bad. No, of course not.
Really bad. Not who we are as a company. So we'll try and make that as visible as possible. People can explore. Because one of the things that I think is going to be valuable there, I hope, is the UX and UI part of that, because that's something that we work with, at Lattimore and Friends. We work with mostly non-technical design teams. Most people use the internet enough to have a good sense of what's doable and what's not. But there are ways to quite easily go and get yourself boxed into corners and realize, oh crap, I've signed, I've sold this into a client, but the animation is just impossible. And I think that's something we can do with the UX and UI and say, you know what, this cart, one that we always see, this is a really common issue we see with e-commerce sites, is they will do a completely unique design for the cart and the checkout and the basket and the members area. And it's cool. I love the design. It's a great concept. Or they'll change the flow. And it's great, but that's going to 2 times, 3 times the budget if we try try and do that, because WooCommerce doesn't love it. Shopify really hates it.
Yeah.
And we always say, if you're trying to keep a e-commerce project under 7K, under 6K for build, under 5K for build, you've got to work with what's there, make it on brand, make it fit the identity, but maybe the cart looks like a cart. And I think that's, and to be fair, it's a rare brand where that's not the right thing. There's a great website, maybe we'll cut it in later, I'm not sure if we can, but mother.com, and it's a completely bespoke Shopify site, which is really good, really powerful. But as soon as, it feels really unique, and he gets to the cart and checkout, and at that point it looks super standard Shopify, and it makes sense.
People know what they're meant to do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People. It's helpful for people to know what they want to do, especially when it comes down to getting money and getting your card out and actually spending cash. That's not the point you want to be freaked out or concerned. That's the point where you want to be super safe and laid back.
Yeah.
Amazon will never win any design awards, but it works well. I remember this amazing. Sorry, I'm rambling now, but there's an amazing story where there was an e-commerce brand, or at least an e-commerce provider, a few years ago, which artificially slowed down the checkout process because they'd quickened it up so much that people's cards were taken instantly. But it freaked people out. They felt like, has this failed? Has it not worked? So they actually artificially showed some random loading things for like 2, 3, 4 seconds.
That's so interesting.
It's because people expect us. It feels reassuring that something takes so long. I know when I pay my tax bill, the UK is really, really quite quick now, and you drop an amount of money, I will not say, on your VAT bill, and it just bang, and it's like, that go through. That feels scary. That amount of money just leaves your account instantly. Where was the chance to say no?
Yeah.
No, I can't say no, but I feel like at least if it's taken a while, I could grab the computer and say, wait, I need that for rent.
Come back. That's funny actually, because also I guess it's like with the rise in scams and people wanting to be more aware of how scams work, but also you can get scammed anywhere, and it's like it can look. I guess the more trust triggers that people have.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. No, that makes
sense. It can go the other way. Like sometimes when you have such a garbage e-commerce store, that actually it freaks people out the wrong way, because actually it feels scammy. The checkout process feels like it's from the 90s or the early noughties, not 90s, but the early noughties. You're like, is this legit?
Yeah.
Right? I do a bit of hobbying. It's like, well, sometimes the shops aren't always the most up to date, and I'm like, I'm going to use my credit card.
Just in case.
Yeah, so that's what we'll do with the kind of design phase, and then we'll go into the actual development of it. We'll, I think we're almost certainly going to use Shopify here, but we'll explore that in the next, in the discovery call, and we'll just show. Probably won't do too much live recordings of coding, because unless you're a nerd like me, it's not really interesting. But we'll definitely talk about add-ons. We'll talk about some ways we approach the code, some of the ways we can approach it from a speed perspective, from an SEO perspective. If we structure the site in a certain way, we can talk about that. So again, that's the point where hopefully it will be valuable when briefing in your own developers and your own teams to sort of say, you know what, I saw this and that looked really cool. Could we do that or something similar? And then we'll go live, and that will be that. And Liam will have an amazing new award-winning, of course,
conquer
the world.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, yeah, I'm super touched that you would ask me to be part of it. So I'm very excited for my brand new website.
Very cool.